But I want to make a comment at the beginning here because we have the finest warriors in the history of the world. That's not hyperbole. We, in fact, do. And notwithstanding all I won't characterize them, the things that the president has done relative to Syria, I just want to make a point that we're in a situation where we have the bravery and the courage it took for the Delta Force and our special forces to do what they did is enormous. It really is. It really, really is. And we owe them a debt of gratitude. They literally are, no hyperbole, the finest fighting force in the history of the world, the best trained in the world. And we pray to God we don't have to use them that often, but when we do, they do their job like nobody else does. And I don't know a state that has a higher percentage of veterans and military people in this state. Everybody in this state who was in the military, raise your hand in this audience. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Folks, al-Baghdadi's death was good news for the United States and people around the world, but, his corrosive message really hurt. But here's the point I want to make. ISIS remains a threat to the American people and our allies, and we have to keep the pressure on. We can't walk away. We can't walk away from our friends. We can't walk away from those people. And by the way, the Kurds gave 10,000 lives to end that caliphate, and we owe them. We had to keep our word.
My understanding, interestingly enough, is that that mission was accomplished with information supplied by the Kurds. And as we know, Trump has turned his back and betrayed the Kurds, something that I think will have a negative impact not only in that region of the world, but in terms of our relationship with allies from one end of this planet to the other. But clearly, any victory against a destructive group, like a terrible terrorist group like ISIS, is something that is positive.
I commend our men and women in our armed forces and our intelligence community for their work in tracking him down and making sure that our world is safer because of his demise. I don't think that the president should be taking credit for the work of the men and women in uniform and these intelligence agencies that he routinely lambasts. But all of that aside, I think, that we can be pleased that somebody who dedicated so much of his time and his effort and his life to trying to harm others is no longer going to be able to do that.
Clearly, this is a real blow against ISIS and a positive step in the fight against stateless terrorism. And credit should go to all who were involved. And I think it's an example of what our special operations and intelligence personnel are capable of around the world.
There is no question that the demise of Baghdadi is a very important milestone in terms of our fight against ISIS. And all credit goes to our special forces, to our intelligence community. I work with them on a consistent basis in the course of my role in the Senate Intelligence Committee, and they do extraordinary work, most of the time without any recognition of their sacrifice and their hard work and professionalism.
This is obviously good news. This is something I'm learning about, and I'm looking forward to getting more information and hopefully get a briefing on once we get back to Washington. But this is positive news in furthering us closer towards the defeat of ISIS.